So many people have worked to ensure that there really is the kind of honor and respect due people who suffered, families who suffered, and the challenges that everyone felt post-Vietnam. I look at this monument and I see the names of real men, our heroes, people who lost their lives. And I also know that there are names that are missing. And those names that are missing are those who suffered and died as a result of the war, many of whom still suffer today. And so, as a county executive in an extraordinary place that appreciates, loves, and cares for our veterans, I'm thrilled to see so many people here today understanding the importance of what we're here to do. To those servicemen and women, people who have fought for our nation and stand here today, we owe you a debt of gratitude we can never possibly repay. But this is about making things right. And that's why we're here as well. We're making things right with this dedication. We're taking a step in the direction of truly saying that we as a nation understand the sacrifices of an entire generation. I'm privileged to be the county executive of 182,000 people, all of whom understand what we're here to do today. We have a deeply patriotic county, and that's pretty special. So on this beautiful day, on this day when the sunshine is spectacular, the temperatures are warm, and we're here with friends and family, let us also remember with heavy hearts those who suffered so greatly so that we could have the freedoms that we enjoy every single day. This is not a day in which we celebrate. This is a day in which we remember. This is a day in which we will hold in our hearts forever. And when future generations come to this monument, they'll understand this war was much more complex than simply what they read in the history books. To Carol, to our widows who are with us, thank you. God bless you. I wish you peace. To our veterans, once again, we say thank you. And to the everyday citizens of Ulster County, I can't tell you how proud I am that you're here and caring. Now, it also gives me great privilege to know that we work together every single day for the betterment of our veterans, whether it's our Veteran Services Organization or with all levels of government. And so it gives me great privilege and great honor to recognize a veteran, a friend, and someone committed to service, my friend, Chris Gibson.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to begin thanking our County Executive, Michael Hine. As Ira mentioned, we're deeply grateful for his dedication to veterans. We see it here today. We've seen it time and again. We saw it at the memorial dedication at the Patriot Home, and through his support for so many other things, and for his support of a terrific VSO team. You know, I thank Captain Steve Massey for his service to our country and his leadership for our veterans. I thank Sergeant First Class Keith Benedict for his enthusiasm, energy, and for his work on behalf of veterans. And, you know, I look over and I see our honor guard today, and I'm in awe, and I'm very thankful for your service and for your commitment that remains steadfast today. that you continue to be out and you're looking strong and ready for inspection in important moments like this. You know, for me, when I was 17, I enlisted in the infantry as a private in the Army National Guard. All my instructors were Vietnam veterans. They taught me everything that I knew about infantry operations. They also taught me about what it was like to be a young man, the responsibilities of a person in this world. I would not be the person I am today if it weren't for our Vietnam veterans. And then a few years later, when I made the transition from the National Guard to the regular Army, all my leaders were Vietnam veterans. My battalion commander, my sergeant major, and the leadership that they demonstrated, the training they provided for our units. This was the period of the mid and late 1980s when we were doing everything we could to provide readiness for our country. And I could tell that inasmuch as they were every day rising to their God-given potential and doing their duty, that there was pain inside. You know, the other reason why I think we really need to hold dear our Vietnam veterans and be very thankful is for how they changed our country. When we went off to war in the Persian Gulf and we fought, that unit those formations that were trained by our Vietnam veterans, and when we came home, our Vietnam veterans made sure that our country would never repeat what had happened to us in the 1960s and the 1970s. Our nation is united. We can have spirited debate about politics, but we are not divided when it comes to our veterans. We welcome everyone home, knowing that the soldier is just doing the duty of what our elected leaders have asked them to do. That would not have happened if it weren't for our Vietnam veterans. We're deeply grateful for what they have done, ensuring that we stay together as Americans. 58,307 Americans lost their lives in Vietnam, and we remember each and every one of them by name. We pray for their souls. We remember their families. We know there's nothing we can ever say or do that will ever fill the holes that were created there. It changed the trajectory of those families forever. We also know that the casualties did not stop when the war ended. Post-traumatic stress, Agent Orange exposure. The list of casualties from Vietnam continues to this day. And to those that wonder if our government hears them, we are listening. We hear you. We are working on making a difference. It's constituent driven. Earlier this year, I was at the White House when the President of the United States signed into law the Clay Hunt Suicide Awareness and Prevention Bill. We lost Clay Hunt, a Marine who had served multiple combat tours and was doing everything he could to help veterans that were suffering from mental health challenges. Very sadly, Clay Hunt lost his life to mental health challenges. We know we can do better. This bill is a positive step in the right direction for mental health for our veterans. Likewise, and Mike mentioned her, Carol Olzanicki lost her husband at 57 years young to exposure to Agent Orange. For those that served on the ground in Vietnam or in the Riverine Navy, we have presumed benefits today, but for those who serve just offshore in very important logistical resupply operations, they don't get presumed coverage. It's wrong. We fight every day for these sailors in case-by-case basis, but the law needs to change. We have been working really hard. Carol has made a difference. We have over 274 co-sponsors with the bill that I've introduced in the name of Carol Olzanicki. And we are working with Senator Gillibrand, who's put in a companion bill in the United States Senate. We have had a hearing. We've never been in a stronger position to change this law. It unites all of us. Carol, you have made a difference. We remember all of those who lost their lives, whether it be in combat, on the ground, in any operation in Vietnam, or those that we have lost since that time. All precious lives that made a difference and changed the course of our country. We will always remember. I will now bring back up Ira Weiner. Wiener, who is a tremendous leader for us, a Vietnam veteran himself, and we're deeply grateful for everything you do for Ulster County. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Congressman. It's nice to know that we have people fighting for us in Washington. And we're going to miss you when you're going. I just wanted to add that from a personal note. Anyway, most were drafted, some enlisted, but we all served. I hugged my dad at 4 a.m. at Whitehall Street, New York City. It was the only time I ever saw him cry. I was on my way to something that would affect my life forever. You know, in World War I, George M. Cohan composed Over There as a tribute to our soldiers and to encourage support for the war effort. In World War II, patriotism was at a high point, with neighborhood collections, Blue Star, and sadly Gold Star flags, war bonds, John Wayne. And if you did not serve, people asked why. In Korea, the support started to wane, but it was still strong. My country, right or wrong, but still my country. Vietnam was a different story. Think about it. You went to basic training for 8 to 10 weeks, shipped to advanced infantry training or whatever your MOS was for another month. You were put on a plane or a ship, next stop, Vietnam, hello. Back home, all your friends were in college or had deferments. Your family didn't place a Blue Star flag in the window because it wasn't socially acceptable. People did not support the war. They demonstrated against it. Over there, we sang Jody songs. You guys remember? Ain't no use in going back. Jody's got your Cadillac. And we set up bulletin boards for all the Dear John letters we got. We encountered personal horrors at 19, 20, and 21 years old. We didn't talk about it, except to each other. So we self-medicated and wanted to get back to the real world. But the real world didn't want us. They didn't understand us. PTSD? That's just an excuse for laziness and discontent. We were asked why we served, discriminated against in our job interviews, and some never even mentioned their service on the applications just so they could get a job. Today, we know PTSD is just as real as the previous wars, but it was never acknowledged. But unfortunately, the numbers of PTSD afflictions are astounding. On top of that, we were deceived about the effects of Agent Orange. You know, we defoliated an area the size of Massachusetts with 20 million gallons of it. And we're told that it was totally safe. Yeah, right. Unfortunately, the cancer rate for those exposed to Agent Orange are off the charts. And it's blamed for many other ailments. You didn't have to be boots on the ground. Navy and Air Force personnel who handled this defoliant were also subject to the same syndromes. Carol Znecki's husband was in the Navy, handled Agent Orange, and died much too young. Thank you, Carol. Your never-ending fight for justice for all of us. You are the driving force behind all of this today. Thank you, Carol. Speaking of that, I remember soldiers getting sprayed while in the field. It was a badge of honor. That's what they said. It was a badge of honor. After all, it was safe, right? Finally, the VA, the government, and Washington bureaucrats are recognizing the truth about Agent Orange and PTSD. We Vietnam veterans are still fighting the war 50 years later, both physically and mentally. I just recently lost a close personal friend to Agent Orange. Bruce lived in New Paltz and was a muscle car freak like me. He died slowly of liver cancer. We took a final ride in his 69 SS 396 El Camino, and then he died the following week. So many of us Vietnam vets are frozen in that time frame, and so many of us ask only for respect and honor for how we served our country. President Reagan said it best. It is time we recognize that ours was, in truth, a noble cause. A small country, newly free from colonial rule, sought our help in establishing self-rule and the means of self-defense against a totalitarian neighbor bent on conquest. We dishonor the memory of the 50,000 plus young Americans who died in that cause when we give way to feelings of guilt, as if we were doing something shameful. And we have been shabby in our treatment of those who returned. They fought as well and as bravely as any Americans have ever fought in any war. They deserve our gratitude, respect, and continuing concern. And now, I would like a moment of remembrance for those Vietnam vets who died from exposure to Agent Orange and PTSD-related issues. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Denise Younger to sing Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Amazing grace,
And now, if we could have Chaplain Alan McDowell offer the closing benediction. And I'm going to ask the audience to remain standing for the rifle salute from Post 72 and taps from Joe Forte, our bugler today.
Please pray with me. O God, to you we lift our hearts in gratitude for all here who fought and have lived since so valiantly and selflessly. Thank you for those who died bravely for truth, liberty, and justice. Thank you, too, for their families, to whom they left a heritage of honor and courage. Help us to guard carefully the gifts which their loyalty and devotion passed on to us. May we be true as these men were and are true. May we be loyal, selfless, and faithful to our country as they were and are to this day. Now may your blessing be upon these precious men and their families. May they go from here in your favor, even as they will always enjoy the favor of their country and their countrymen. May you bless their military descendants, those Americans who serve on the front line of freedom even now. And may you bless this grand nation for which these men have given so much. May you keep America worthy of their devotion and sacrifice, and ever in your light. Amen.
Honor guard. Attain. Hup. Captain of the guard, salute our fallen.
Port, arm. Prepare to fire. Ready, fire! Ready, fire! Ready, fire! 2, 3, set, fire! Order, fire! Ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's dedication, and I certainly want to thank everyone for coming out today. We really appreciate it. Before we depart, I'd like to thank Captain Steve Massey, the Director of Ulster County Veterans Service Agency, for assisting in the opening of the ceremonies and the closing of the ceremonies. Post 72 for performing the presentation of colors and the rifle salute. Our vocalist for today, Denise Younger. Wow, terrific. And of course, our bugler, Joe Forte. Thank you, Joe. And also, I want to thank Post 150 for bringing out their folks, Post 1298 for their honor guard as well. And I want to let everyone know at this time that everyone is invited to Post 150 over here in Kingston for a refreshment, so that we've been out here in the sun for quite a while, so we can go over there and have some refreshments. The doors are open for all of us. And also, the roses that are here, we invite anybody to come up at this time who has lost a loved one or a friend to any of these silent killers, or anyone who just wants to honor someone, to please place an orange rose on the memorial as you see here. Thank you again. Have a great day, and we appreciate it, Congressman and Mike. Thank you.